Environmental Committee and as a seasoned, appropriately long-bearded professor of philosophy at the University of Akureyri, I was invited to share with you some overarching theoretical considerations that apply to today's conference. I shall limit myself to two such considerations, which I base primarily upon my long-time collaboration with the late John McMurtry. John McMurtry was Canada's leading environmentalist thinker for the past 30 years, and moreover, he served as honorary theme editor for UNESCO's Encyclopedia of Life Support Systems, which is to date the world's largest online repository of information on sustainable development. Needless to say, in my considerations, I shall be painfully concise. We don't have much time. Let's start by taking the bull by the horns. The crucial issue of today's conference couldn't be more crucial. It is life versus death, no more, no less. We, the participants, are all academic experts in some field or on some scientific topic, or we are studying to become one. However, what is fundamentally at issue in this conference is no sheer technical matter. Sure enough, sustainable development, sustainability, and sub-themes thereof keep being treated as though they were technical matters pertaining to some special category of mass media news, public discourse, and/or professional scholarship, that is to say, the environment. Yet, what is at stake under the umbrella term of sustainability or of the environment, for that matter, is nothing but life itself, or its alternative, death. Scratch long enough at environmental issues such as pollution, loss of habitats, mass extinctions, and that's what you get. Anyone who has read the latest IPCC report on climate change knows that this is no hyperbole. While the IPCC's reports from the 1990s spoke of prevention and avoidance of climate change, the latest report speaks of adaptation and mitigation vis-à-vis an acknowledged climate crisis. The truth staring us in the eye is brutal. The planet's life-enabling ecology, that is, the natural life support systems for our species and countless others, is already unraveling in the most dramatic ways. At the present stage, moreover, the scientific community can only suggest strategies to reduce the life-destructive impacts that ultimately our socio-economic order keeps causing. Yes, the Anthropocene is mostly a euphemism for the global socio-economic order. What is implied by these strategies is something that is rarely stated in explicit terms by pundits and official actors. Let me say it aloud. All the various much trumpeted green policies implemented worldwide for the past 30 years at least, however well-meaning and well-designed, have been glaringly insufficient to stop and, above all, revert the overall trends of ecosystemic life depletion on the grandest scale, as reported by official bodies such as the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change, and UNESCO. My second painfully concise consideration is that under the current global socioeconomic regime, there exist good goods and bad goods, which mainstream economists and business leaders cannot distinguish between because they lack the fundamental concepts that are required for drawing sharply such an axiological distinction. Let us start with an older classic distinction in political economy that some of you may have encountered when studying Adam Smith or Karl Marx. As expressed by formula number 1 in the slide, a pre-capitalist economy uses money, the dollar sign, as a means of exchange for commodities, C and C1 in the formula. For example, I sell cows to earn currency, whereby I can buy timber to build a better home for me and my family. In a capitalist economy instead, which is expressed by way of formula number 2, I invest money into certain commodities so as to earn a profit. My house is no longer a home under this perspective, but a piece of real estate. In the eyes of orthodox economists and businessmen at large, all commodities are goods as long as they fetch a lawful price on the market. And yet, not all commodities are equal as far as the phenomenon of life is concerned. I know, but I don't have time to define and articulate life here. Just bear with me and try to get the gist, please. Some commodities, such as wheat, agricultural labor, and farmland, are means of life. That is, they can sustain and improve life comprehensively. That's formula 2A. In this case, the traded goods fulfill satiable needs, which, if unmet, would then lead to life disablement and eventually illness and death. Other commodities, such as cigarettes and assault rifles, are destructors of life, formula 2B. The traded goods, because they are economic goods, fulfill non-satiable wants, which, if unmet, cannot cause any genuine life disablement. In fact, their unfulfillment and eventual disappearance may even be good for persons, peoples, societies, and ecosystems. Other commodities yet, such as currency itself or debt obligations, are life-disconnected financial fictions, which can turn life-enabling or life-disabling depending on intra- and interstate legislation and, above all, its enforcement or lack thereof. And that's formula 2C. That's by far the most common type of goods that are traded in today's economy. However, all such financial fictions are indirectly based on some tangible reality for their functioning, and they can impinge on the so-called real economy under powerful and diverse guises, for example, as enabling investment or crippling speculation. As things stand now, the standard aim when trading in these alleged goods is theoretically unlimited growth of monetary value, as indicated by expressions such as return on equity, revenue, income, wealth, net worth, and other money-based categories of thought in both economic theory and economic praxis. Under the current global market logic of allegedly rational self-maximization, everything and anything, unless explicitly prohibited by binding regulation, can be targeted as a potential means of money making, hence all as means, ASM in formula 3. Thus, even the worst life-threatening ecological effects of the global market economy itself can turn into means of pecuniary enrichment for some investors. For example, new pathologies, more and more frequent hurricanes, less and less predictable agricultural yields, scarcer and scarcer water supplies, rarer and rarer snow caps and glaciers, etc. Indeed, insofar as scarcity can make an economic good more profitable, then a world in which certain natural and vital goods become scarcer is a world rife with short and medium-term profit opportunities for at least some shrewd investors. For example, tourist companies inviting their customers to fly, further pollute, and visit the icy Arctic before it melts away. We should be neither surprised nor shocked, though we may be outraged and worried. But the ultimate criteria of the socioeconomic logic at work in economic theory and praxis are money-based, not life-based. It is as simple as that. Even the greenest and most well-meaning enterprises, corporations, and business leaders, for one, must earn profits in order to survive, economically speaking. That is their top or basic priority, lest they cease to exist and compete as economic agents on whatever market they are in. Thus, ideal options in terms of life value have been and will keep being discarded if they are deemed too costly, unprofitable, unaffordable, a bad business model, etc. The bottom line is money-based, even when the bottom line is triple, as some green accountants would argue. In the end, and inevitably, life-based criteria must be imposed onto the extant socioeconomic order from the outside. For example, by way of strict and strictly enforced state regulation, led by fundamental axiological criteria that are not money-based, but life-based. Some of the emergency measures witnessed worldwide during the recent COVID pandemic are an example of life-based criteria taking precedence over money-based ones. Formula number 4 reflects this theoretical wisdom, which, however, has not won the day yet, at least as the universal conceptualization of socioeconomic relations are reflected in our textbooks, in economics, in business studies, but also in the social sciences at large. So it is our job, if we are truly committed to sustainability and environment, to try to let this theoretical wisdom win the day. And with this, I conclude my remarks. I have one additional note, however. On March 31st, 2023, a third sustainability conference is going to be held at the University of Akureyri. So prepare for that one too. Meanwhile, I declare today's second conference officially open.